My senior year in college, one of my favorite professors, Dr. Catherine Crisp, gave an assignment called This I Believe. It was intended to be an exercise in communicating our why. Today, reflecting back on that assignment, my convictions and beliefs still hold true. Today, I'm going to read a little about what I believe. I believe being the only one might feel familiar, but it should never be normal. My life story has been a journey of being different. For as long as I can remember, I've had a sense that I was different than my peers and wanted to push myself harder, not worry about being the only one, and to challenge the status quo. I never want to get comfortable with that, though. That would mean quitting on those coming behind me. I grew up in a small conservative church community, similar to the Amish or Mennonite community. I attended a one-room school for 1st through 8th grade, and I was one of the first in my community to attend college, and that was seen as rebellious and unnecessary for my expected role as mother and housewife. One of the best rewards of that experience has been seeing my younger siblings and cousins pursue higher education without reservation, partially because they had been exposed to that experience. Representation matters, and now I'm no longer the only one. One of my mentors at the University of Kansas, Chico Herbison, encouraged me to consider attending a historically black college for graduate school. I was looking for a master's program in a large city that would equip me for my career. In that assignment that Catherine assigned years ago, I wrote, "I am committing my life to their Black men in America's service, fighting for each little boy to grow up being valued in our nation because I believe they matter." Because of the history of oppression of black males in America, I believe we must make a special effort to support them. Chico was my advisor and didn't dismiss my passion and challenged me in my classwork and planted a seed that set the stage for the rest of my life. Attending Howard University and HBCU in Washington, D.C. provided me an incredibly unique opportunity as a white woman to enter spaces where I was the minority. Whether in social work classes or on the bus traveling with the men's basketball team, I was often the only one. Yes, I experienced some bias and some uncomfortable situations, but the experience has taught me much more than they cost. I learned in environments where black students were not expected to speak for all black people, to see diversity and perspectives and hear history, theories, and philosophies that I would likely never have been taught at a predominantly white institution. Through all of that experience, I also learned about the unearned privilege I have as a white person. I may have been the minority in the classroom, but I only needed to walk a few blocks off campus to find others who looked like me. My privilege also accompanied me into those spaces and often changed the dynamic in the room, often unintentionally. I am forever grateful to my friends and mentors who have patiently explained, recommended books, taught, corrected, and encouraged me in my continual journey to challenge myself in that area. They didn't have to give themselves in that way. They accept invitations into my home and invite me into theirs. We share meals and celebrations, recipes, and traditions. My life is better being shared with people who don't look like me, and I am better equipped as an ally, advocate, and friend. Working in football, I'm often the only woman in the room. I'm not the only woman working with football or in academic support, and I'm so grateful for these women here and others around the country doing the important work of supporting our student athletes with excellence in different facets of the game. As the woman on our academic team, though sometimes people expect me to be in a more stereotypical role, like someone like Miss Sue from The Blind Side, I can be tough. I fight fiercely to push my students to be successful. I want to see them be their very best, and sometimes that means calling out potential and having uncomfortable conversations. I love these guys more than I can express. I'm invested in your families and your future and all the experiences that impact your daily lives right now. Your coaches coach you hard, but you often don't expect the same toughness from a woman, and it doesn't immediately feel like love. Regardless, I will keep loving you and advocating for each of you. One of my friends recently told me that she watches the game wondering what nice things I'd say about each of you when mistakes are made. in the game, and I was proud to know that's how I was representing you. I believe the work I do as an Associate Director in Student Athlete Services and Scholastic Supervisor for the defense on the football team is a calling for me, not just an occupation or a paycheck. I believe God created each of us for a specific purpose. He gave us traits and interests and talents that make each of us uniquely able to fulfill that purpose. For some of us, we work a job to pay bills and fulfill our purpose in other areas. But for a few, Jesus blesses us with the opportunity to get paid to do what we're called to do. That's been my story and has helped sustain my passion for my student athletes and my pursuit of excellence. I'm serving Jesus with my daily work. If he ever asks me to do something else, that won't mean I'm no longer fulfilling my purpose. But for now, he's been so gracious at allowing my passion and my career to be intertwined. I believe where you come from doesn't determine where you can go. Most of my students face incredible hurdles to succeed at a high level in the classroom and on the field. It's hard to do one thing with excellence, let alone two. Many of our student athletes come from families who provided them with everything they needed to be successful: quality education, the best training to perfect their athletic ability, even the genetics to go along with that talent. But even with all the tools they could ask for, playing SEC football while competing in the classroom at an academic institution of our caliber is tough. We never want to settle for less than the best, though. That's why they chose Texas A&M and why I did too. Not everyone is that fortunate, though, and some of our student athletes overcame the unthinkable to compete at this level. When your teachers in high school never challenged you to learn or took the time to teach you, it's hard to believe you're capable of college-level academic work. When no one has ever held you accountable because they were enamored with your athletic ability, it's hard to learn discipline at 18 years old. When your family life has been littered with the chaos of unstable housing, unhealthy adult relationships, and poverty, it's unrealistic to think building academic skills would be a priority. The wins I will cherish forever in my career will never be celebrated on SportsCenter. They aren't all measured by GPA or even with a passing grade. I'll never forget the thank you phone call from a student on his graduation day after I had left for another job. Seeing the excitement in a student's eyes when he really enjoys the content of a class I encouraged him to take. Watching them give a speech we spent hours preparing for. Or hugging a mama, both of us knowing that that touchdown would have never happened if not for our teamwork. I could go on and on. We have no way to know who will be the next world changer, the next Joe Fields, the next Elijah Robinson. So I'm going to invest everything I have into each one until they believe in themselves enough and have the resources they need to meet that next big goal. I stand on the backs of mentors and friends who have invested in me when it wasn't evident that this is who I would become. I'm glad they didn't limit me because of where I come from. I believe I'm impatient with the pace of justice in our country. I want to fight for justice, and often I get impatient with the process of helping others see the crisis we are in. The issues impact and transcend conversation for me. They aren't just on Twitter or on the news. People I love, know, and work closely with live this reality every day. We make more progress if we work together. Being anti-racist and using the privilege for good takes intentional effort. For me, unified means working together towards racial justice. That's the unity I want to be a part of. As the famous Teddy Roosevelt quote says, the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who strives valiantly, who comes up short again and again, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who at his best knows the triumph of high achievement, who at the worst, if he fails, fails while daring greatly. That's why I'm here sharing today, because I want to be in the arena fighting for what I believe.